it.
How? You tried to hide it.
Exactly. Hey y'all. Okay, we are live. I'm gonna go take this link to Facebook. And then we can start, you guys. Right here.
That's what I name is. I get this Office Depot. It was on clearance back in the spring. Oh, it's a gift from me for him, but
I'm actually still using my vision book from last year because it was such a good idea from Aisha.
yeah.
So I started it last year. I didn't realize I started it the year before last that she suggested doing a
Okay.
vision book. And then I added more to it last year. So I'm just gonna add to it this year once I get those
I love that
magazines from you.
idea of vision book. I have my clients do that when they start the
Mhm.
nutrition program with me. That's a part of their journey. They have to do nutrition
Okay.
work before we start in the program. And that's what their assignment is that they have a choice to do a vision board, a vision book, or just put a portion in their binder.
Mhm. I love it. Ever since she suggested it, I was like, this right here
Keep up with it.
is the bomb. Okay, I hope this will do what it's supposed to do. Okay, you can't do that right now. Oopsie. Okay, yeah. Hey, live viewers, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Negasi. A few people said that they were running late, so I'm assuming everybody's just gonna trickle in. I'm not gonna hold nobody to no strict time. I know everybody's New Year's revelry was good. I was like, got your party on. I'm not gonna be like your grandma. I'm gonna be like, I can party, but you can't get in here and speak to Ocean. I'm like, Tracy, my best friend Tracy said that when her mom and them would go out on Saturday night, on Sunday morning, her grandmama would wake them up real early. Greetings, come on in. And turn on all the lights and say, wake up, party goers. Wake everybody up early. That was sweet.
Just came from yoga.
Oh, nice. We are just getting started, Sister Mary. So you have not missed anything. Jehovah Michelle, yeah, yeah, Oshun. Jehovah Michelle, yeah, yeah, Oshun. Adi, indi, indi, adi, indi, indi, Oshun Shekeshi, Olu, Yai. Oshun Oriye wa beni oro bebe oro Oshun. Moniko ila ile eke, moniko ila ile i. Yamiko yesun. E kari wa yari ogola kushe. Igo ayana jube ashe, ashe, ashe. Okay. Awesome. Ami tutu, tutu, ori tutu, emi tutu, aye tutu, laroye. Bashi Olodumare, Batu Rebecca, ye, Bati Wojoy, Bati Warun, Baleri Gary and Foko Yeri, Iba Rumala Ileri Ipin, Iba Igba Rumlajo Kotun, Iba Igba Rumlajo Kosin, Iba Kamri Umi Irimbo Omale, Iba Koda, Iba Sheda, Iba Wania Afinju Eje, Ojo Bobo and Gunigale mean Bele se Ludamari Baye or Moon, Iba by Tunu Baba Moratonu, Iba Oluwo, Aba Odubolo Fetimisha, Iba Ojupono, Bokono Medohojkovisanu, Iba Pojicho, Nochitu Iba Elo Shashango Inyola, Iba Shesaleko, Iba Oba Sajmade for me the first, Iba Oba Sajmade for me the second, Iba She, Iba for Fatayi for Birma, Iba Faleri Fabirmo, Iba Bobo Ideli Amushan, Iba Bobo Ideli Fabirmo, Iba Agbomola, B Orisha, Bashe, Saleko Iba Ashe, Olokomeji Village, Nigeria, Iba Ile Ife, Iba Oyotunji, South Carolina, Ashe, 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 Orisha, Kosi Iku, Kosi Fatibo, Kosi Wahala, Kosi Ofo, Fuma Alafia, Fuma Ire, Fuma Iwa Pwele, Fuma Bobo 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 Owo, Ashe, 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 Ashe. Okay. So the reading of the year is um, tradition of the Americas. In Nigeria, they don't do the reading of the year. In Nigeria, since the coming of colonialism, what they do is the night of prediction. So everything that they were going to do for this year actually took place last night. So the Egungun, well, the family that I am a member of in Nigeria is an Egungun family. From the ancient perspective, every family has an Orisha that that family has worshipped for millennia all the way back. So Egungun is an Orisha, even though it is the ancestors, it is an Orisha in and of itself. So the family that I'm a member of, they're an Egungun family. So for the night of prediction, for my family, what happens is that particular Egungun comes out and makes predictions for the year. So that is the tradition from that side of the globe. On this side of the globe, the tradition is to do the reading on the 1st of January, and that is the reading of the year. So this is definitely a new African Vodou, new African tradition. Everybody have pencil and paper? Okay. Did you say you need a pen?
Yeah.
Kamari, can you go bring my pencil bag out of my backpack in my room? Oh, you have one? Okay.
Look at y'all helping each other. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so the first leg for this year is Oworin, Owrin, Owonrin, Oworin. The second leg is Okbe. And it's in Ibi in Odiosa. Ruling Orisha for this year, the first one is Dambala.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first one you said?
Dambala. And the second one is Oya. Let me grab all of you guys. Tattered and torn divination. Implemented trials and snares.
Mommy, why is it so big?
Has everything in it. Okay. So the first egg is Owanrin. Owanrin is an Oju, is the Oju that speaks of the quality of scarcity. The proverb from this Oju is a blessing of money, a blessing of children, a blessing of long life. When there is a scarcity of money, we search for money. When there is a scarcity of water, we wait at the spring. When there is a scarcity of food, we refer to this as famine. So this is the Odu of something scarce. And I'm trying to remember if this other proverb comes from this Odu, but I'm not sure. So I'll have to do some more research. So Owarin is an Odu of scarcity. So it is also conversely an Odu of what we call Ishe. Ishe is the Yoruba term for work, but not work as in going to work, not work as in, going to someone's corporate office or going to someone's business to perform these tasks for money. Not that kind of work, but actual work that creates what you need in order to keep living life. So, within this year, we are going to have to begin to familiarize ourselves with actual Ishe. Okay. So Ishe is things like growing food. Ishe is things like architecture, knowing how to build the structures that you need to live in. Ishe is the raising of animals, caring for children, all of these things that actually keep life going. So, because this is a year in which we will see something scarce, and it's coming in EB, it's coming with blockages and obstacles, then we can be sure that what we're going to have to work on is Ishe, actual work. Okay. Another proverb, and that's the one I'm saying I don't know if it comes from this Odu or not, but it's very much well known and well used Yoruba proverb. And it's Ale Mura Ishe. It says work is the medicine for poverty. Okay. So you can never not have if you're growing it, right? It's not a possibility. That's not how life works. You can never not have if you are actually out there with your nose to the grindstone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the obstacles that we will face will be that illusion of not having. So it will be incumbent upon us to continue to do the work and to understand that nothing is unrewarded. Everything will get that reward at the end. So that's one of, I guess that will be one of the bigger obstacles. I'm gonna go back to the blockages because that came in a different Odu. Owarin is an Odu in which Eshu, Ogun, Oshosi, Babaluaye, Oshun, and Oya speak. Right now, because we're in the winter time, we're in this time of Babaluaye. So I'll take the time to focus on that for a moment. With a Warren coming in EB and with it being an Odu that speaks of scarcity, we have to remember that nature of Babaluaye as the taskmaster. Okay, nothing in the universe exists without work, without having to put in the work to continue to exist. The price of life is sacrifice. It's something that our ancestors taught. So you're always going to have to be giving something to get something. Babaluaye is one of the Orisha that reminds you of that. If you're not putting anything in, nothing is going to be coming out. If you're not giving, you're never going to be getting. Okay? This is one of the lessons of Owanrin. Continue to give. This is how you get. Stop, mama. Don't make her do that right now. When we look at the energy of Oshosi within this Odu, Oshosi is the hunter whose arrow never misses. So, from my perspective, this is the same message of put in the work and you will get what you're supposed to get from the work. There's no way that you can miss that. When we come from the perspective of Eshu, this is the quality of always being rewarded for your positive efforts and being shown the lessons of those efforts that may be less than positive. When we come from the perspective of Ogun, then Ogun, of course, is the Orisha that never stops working, constantly working, manifested within your body as your heart. Never stops moving, never stops working, never stops beating. Just because of recent political events and because of the climate of the United States at this time, from my perspective, looking at last year, my thoughts were that this year would be a year where we would have to put in that actual work, you know, and actually be putting our nose to the grindstone. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Hey, mama. Putting our nose to the grindstone and doing things. We, as a collective, as an ethnic group, this is the collective I'm speaking of right now. Black people in the Americas, whatever part of the Americas we find ourselves in. I think that we have become, or from my perspective as a country girl and older, a little bit of an older woman, we have become very collectively lazy, you know, and we have very low expectations of ourselves, and that's become okay for us. And so, because we have done that, then things like the political climate shake up our entire world. And that's kind of mind blowing to me. You know, it's just like when the Y2K scare happened. You know, my husband at the time, he's not from an area that's very country, he's from a more metropolitan area. And he was really freaking out. And I was like, I don't understand what's supposed to be so scary about Y2K. And he was like, well, we ain't gonna have no lights, and the grocery store is gonna shut down. And everything is just, I was like, well, then I don't, why would we need lights? Like, we live in an area where it's a whole bunch of wood. That burns. That burns, right? I just, from a country perspective, everything is, your mind is really much more practical. And he was like, well, if the grocery store is not open, what are we going to eat? And I was like, well, food doesn't come from the grocery store. And this poke salad and plankton all in our yard. You didn't know this was edible? But he didn't. Yeah, that's what I mean. We collectively, we are lazy. We don't look past, we don't think past whatever we see on the media. And we seriously have a mindset of dependency, which is mind blowing to me, just because I am so old and so country. That's mind blowing. And I was like, and I said, it's birds that fly around here all the time. You can eat bird, right? Just plain bird. You can eat these squirrels. I was living in Bordeaux at the time. I was like, and there's a creek down the street. So that's water. And that also has fish in it. And he was like, well, I ain't going to drink out that creek. I said, if it ain't no other water, you are. And everybody else is going to be drinking out of it too. Nobody's going to have a choice. So this is what I mean. We have, our minds have become clouded with this kind of dependent mindset. Um, and that allows us to be easily frightened. So this year, from what I'm seeing, if we look at a one ring, will be a time when we'll have to wake up from that. We will be expected to actually be doing things, actually putting in the work, actually viewing the world and life for what it is, and using that to our advantage. I always say we have to use the example of our ancestors. We have to use that example. So we are worried about things that are so small on that scale. We have people that became doctors and lawyers fresh out of chattel slavery. A couple of years later, a few years later, these people were doctors and lawyers. And we're concerned about a political climate. To me, that's ridiculous on our part. That's crazy. That's some type of psychosis. If you are willing to put in the work, then fulfillment of your destiny is always possible. But you have to actually put your foot to the ground and do the work. Put your nose to the grindstone and do the work. But when you're willing to do that, there are no limits, there are no obstacles, there are no blockages at all. Using the examples of your ancestors and using just your own willpower, your own will, and your desires. Your deepest desires are what guide you in this lifetime. Everything that you feel like you are supposed to have, that you are very attached to having, you can't let that dream go, you can't let that thing go, you're supposed to have that. So then do what it takes to have that. Stop being ridiculous with yourself. It's okay, I'm just going to settle for this over here, but you're not. You're not ever going to settle for that over there. It's going to keep on nagging you in the back of your mind. You're supposed to be doing so and so. Well, you ever going to do so and so? Your mind is going to keep on nagging you because you can never. It's not what you came here to do. So this will be a year when we will be expected to step up, move forward, do those things that we are supposed to be doing, and to look at obstacles for what they are. You know, obstacles are necessary to shave you down and make you exactly what you need to be. When we think about the precious stones that we wear, whether you wear a diamond, whether you wear rose quartz, tiger eye, whatever, very rarely are we just wearing the raw stone. Very rare does somebody just dig up the raw stone and put that in a ring. Now, I do like that look, but most people don't enjoy that, right? It has to be smoothed down. And then with a diamond and sometimes with like amber or something like that, then they'll cut it to help it to catch the light. So you have to view yourself as that same type of thing. So every obstacle that you come up against is fine tuning you, making you exactly what you need to be to fulfill your destiny. So when we are in the midst of dealing with an obstacle, look at it like that. Take it personally, but take it personally in a positive way. Be like, okay, word, I see you, obstacle. Okay. I wonder how much more brightly I'm going to shine on the other side of this. because I know I'm gonna make it to the other side. Metahochi taught us that nothing is more important than your next breath. And as long as you have that next breath, you can achieve anything, right? And if you ain't got the next breath, then you got to be worried about what you're going to achieve in the ancestral realm, right? As long as you have that next breath, you are supposed to be fighting to get what it is that you're supposed to get. This is what we're seeing in Owon Ring. What did I say that next Odu was? Was it okay? Ogbe is an Odu in which Obatala speaks. Ogbe is an Odu of enlightenment. It is one of the Odus of the light bringers. This is an Odu that speaks of the necessity of patience, the necessity of clarity of thought, the necessity of proper behavior. Okay? And I use the term proper behavior as opposed to righteousness because righteousness is not what our ancestors were concerned with. We were concerned with doing the proper thing at the proper time for the proper reason. And those things are relative, right? Those things change. So every day, this is not going to be the right thing to do,
Right.
but it might be the right thing to do today,
Right.
right? And 5 minutes from now, this may no longer be the right thing to do, but it's the right thing to do now. Whereas righteousness says this is the right thing to do all the time, and that is not that's not how we were living. So Ogbe, as one of the Odu in which Obatala speaks, is concerned with those things. Um, and Odu of Ogbe for the year lets us know that, especially for this beginning part of the year, this is a good time to fast, this is a good time to cleanse, this is a good time to detox. Be careful what you eat this year, just overall. Be careful, especially eating things that you didn't prepare and you don't know the people who prepared them. And that means eating out. For all of those of us who are going to try to interpret it differently, including myself. So if you don't know who cooked it, then be very careful. Getting an Odu in which Obatala speaks is going to be very much based on your body's reaction to outside stimuli. Because children of Obatala, we have very sensitive systems. Okay, so to be very careful of food, you want to be very careful of the soap you're using, the emollients you're using, whatever type of moisturizers, what type of hair products are you using. This would be for yourself and for your children and whatever other people you are responsible for. You want to be careful about all of those things this year. Okay. And we know that every other day something is being recalled for having something poisonous in it, right? That's just a reality of life here in America. But the closer to natural, and when I say natural, I mean as it comes from Earth Mother Onile, the closer to that you can get, then the better off you are as far as poisons, not having poisons in it. Now, another reality of living in the United States is that they're going to find a way to put poison in that stuff too. But you stay on top of it as much as you can. And once you have bought the most natural of the natural, then you just got to pray on it at that moment in time. And if you have a reaction to it, then know that you can't use that either. For me, I'm sensitive to everything. So, my body will make me believe that I can use organic coconut oil. And so I will go and purchase organic coconut oil. And my body will be like, but we can't use that brand. I'm like, really? Because it's $15 for like 4 ounces, and you gonna now tell me that we can't use that brand? Right. You gonna break out and just be like, no, we can't use that one. So if you find that it's something that you're sensitive to, then the truth of the matter is that you won't be able to use that one either. So be aware. You will probably have to stick to the same brands, the same whatever. When you can make your own, then of course making your own is best. As far as products for your skin and for your hair, the best thing to put on your body are things that you can eat. If you can't eat it, then you really shouldn't be putting it on your skin or in your hair. And that I know is difficult for us because most of us weren't raised like that. But that's what's best. And coming with Ogbe, that's going to be important this year. So be aware of what you're eating. Be aware of what you're putting on your skin, your baby's skin, your boo's skin, all of this type of stuff. Be aware of those things. Ejiogbe lets us know that throughout this year, we will be granted many opportunities to learn patience. Our ancestors called it su'uru. Su'uru does not actually translate into patience. Su'uru means calmness in the face of adversity. So this goes back to what we heard in Owon Ring. So not only are we pushing through the obstacles and working through the obstacles, but we are working on remaining calm while working through the obstacles. I don't think that most of us as African descendants have difficulty looking calm on the outside because that same West African uh, obsession with coolness, Yoruba culture is obsessed with coolness. Everything I did in that libation was cool. Tutu, 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 that's cool. We still got it, right? As West African people here in the United States, we still obsessed with being cool. I know it's cool. I'm cool. You cool, right? It's the same. This is a complete and total Yoruba carryover, right? So we have that same obsession with coolness. So I don't think that it's ever, well, usually it's not difficult for us to have a face of cool in the face of adversity. But when Ogbe falls, how I read that is you trying to be cool in here. Because I can look cool in the face of anything. I can. My mother used to tease me about my poker face. She used to say, I have no, and never have any idea what you're thinking. Because your face is just all the time. I can look cool in the face of anything. She would be, I'd be getting a whooping, and my face would just be blank. Once I went to my room, I would have a complete meltdown. But I wasn't gonna give you the satisfaction of seeing me meltdown. So I can hold my face in a particular way. But if I'm still having a calamity going on inside, then that's not actual tutu, right? We haven't achieved tutu. So we're working on for this year, and I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that I have mastered this, but one of the things that we will have to work on is actual calmness from the inside. Su'uru, sweetness in the face of adversity. There will be many opportunities to learn patience. When you receive this particular reading, if it's just for one person, then what we understand is that that person is going to be insulted at least 3 times. That's what this Odu means when it falls for one individual. So now, as we're reading it just as a whole nation and for an entire year, then we should expect our character to be assassinated because specifically this is about your character being questioned. We should expect that. We should expect insults for this year. We should expect those moments of, really? Are you talking to me? Do you know who I am? Those kind of moments. And so so now we all sitting here today, right? All y'all people online, we all here. So when the moment comes, what? Don't be nowhere surprised. Don't be nowhere like, oh, I can't believe she said that. No, you can. Because on January 1st, Oshun said somebody gonna say something like that to you. So there's no reason to be surprised, right? When the person says it, you can take that deep breath and then let them know what you think in a calm and cool manner. Because su'uru also does not mean take the insult and let the person walk on you. That's not what su'uru means. Su'uru means handle it sweetly and calmly and coolly. So you know the insults are coming. This will be part of the lesson that we will learn this year. Will be how to remain sweet and calm in the face of adversity. But why is that? Our ancestors said anger does not do anything for anyone. It is su'uru that is the father of good health and is the father of long life. It is su'uru that allows the rope of life to remain unbroken in your hand. Su'uru is the father of Iwapwele. Iwapwele is not good character. Iwapwele is gentle character. Calmness and coolness, right? This obsession with coolness, this is where it comes from. This is millennia long with us as African people. Calm and cool, peaceful. So this is part of what we'll learn. Now, from my experience, with this also being a good time to fast and to detox and to clean your system, from my experience, it is much easier to remain cool and calm in the face of adversity when your system is clean. And that's just my personal experience. I have a horrible temper. I have a horrible temper. I was born that way. And people will always say, "Oh, you seem so calm and so cool." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not really sure who you're talking about." Well, my children will tell you she has a bad temper. He'll tell you she has a bad temper. But generally, right, I'm able to maintain a calmness and a coolness. This has not always been possible. And I didn't realize that I was able to do that. And a friend of mine, a brother who has actually passed away and become an honored ancestor, Brother Ashid, I don't know how many of y'all knew him, but he and I were talking one day, and he was like, "But when was the last time that you had a temper outburst like that?" And I was like, I don't know. So I was just telling him, I have a really bad temper. He was like, "I ain't never seen you do that." I was like, "You haven't?" And he was like, "When's the last time you did something like that?" I was like, "Hmm." And he was like, "Well, maybe it coincides with you not eating these particular things anymore." And I was like, "Oh, I had never made that connection." My family thought that it was because I had started practicing the tradition.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "We can just sit and have a talk, and you don't never run out of the room screaming no more." I was like, "Is that what I used to do?" Like, yeah, that was your norm. I was like, "Okay." And they were like, "We thought it was, practicing that ancestral tradition." I was like, "Okay." So I wouldn't say that it was one or the other. I would say that it was both. But knowing what I know about holistic health, and there's sisters in the room that know more than I do, so y'all feel free to chime in. When your colon is clean and when your liver is clean, it's easier not to be unnecessarily angry. Am I right? People who are educated on this? Okay. So that's just what I find for myself. Now, whatever righteous indignation you have, actual anger based on things that you should be angry about, nobody is saying not to. But just popping off over stuff that you should not be angry about, this is one of the things that we're working on in this year. If you if you get clean and remain clean, then it's easier to do that. My personal favorite detox suggestion is, of course, Healing Earth Life products. They have a detox that's specifically for men of African descent. They have a detox that's specifically for women of African descent. It's in a capsule form. It's not a tea. You don't have to make anything. You just have to follow the eating chart that they send you, and you just take your capsules. That is a wonderful detox. I have used it for myself and my children, I guess probably for about 15, and that boy is 10, probably about maybe about 17 years now. I've been using this detox just to heal myself and my children of different things. So I would suggest that if you feel like you need assistance with detoxing. But there's many detoxes online, different things that you can look up that would help you with that. But that's something that we have to be aware of this year. I felt that at the end of last year, just because I kept getting sick. And I got about 3 days ago, I got sick to the point where I just didn't even want to eat anything that was wrong. My body was just like, we ain't even feeling it. So I've been doing just fruit, just because I'm just tired of being sick. I'd like to be able to breathe and maybe wake up in the morning without, feeling like my throat is on fire. So I was like, okay, well, you know what to do now. You just being ridiculous. You gonna really go in there and cook a big old bowl of oatmeal with butter and almond milk, and you can't breathe. It's not what you gonna do. You know how to do better. You're gonna be like, "Ooh, I can't breathe," and get up and go in the kitchen. I was like, no, that's not what you're gonna do. But that was, a conversation I had to have with myself. And of course,
The flip side of detoxing, of eating properly, of taking care of yourself, is making time to do those things. Obatala, speaking in this Oju, is that calm, patient, peaceful Orisha. So you have to make that time. You have to make that time for yourself. You have to take that time for meditation. You have to take that time for prayer. All of these things are the same. Meditation and prayer are the same as eating properly. That's not different. You are everything that you're consuming. Okay? So be aware of what you're listening to. Be aware of what you're watching and the effect that those things have on you. And use them for those effects. Okay? I am a firm believer that there's a time and a place for trap music. I know that you are too. And there's a time and a place when you need that kind of hype, right? There's a time and place for some old grimy gutter dance hall. There's a time and place when you need to be listening, to just some good old Mr. Vegas. There's a time and a place for that. You know, that might not necessarily be in the morning when you're cooking breakfast for your children. Like use the thing for what it is meant for. Be aware of what the vibration of things are and use them properly. Everything has a vibration. When you get the Odu Ogbe, this is also a warning to be aware of the vibration of colors. So now I'm just asking, do we have any color taboos for the year? So Oshun says that we don't. So that's a blessing. Because there have been years where you just couldn't wear certain colors for that whole year. So, but we're good for this year. For me, my personal thing is it's easier to not have an angry reaction if I'm wearing lighter colors. And that's just my personal knowing myself. But then I'm a child of Obatala. So I can't wear a lot of dark colors anyway. So know how particular colors impact you and dress accordingly. Be especially aware of what you put on your head. Okay? It is our tradition from a Yoruba perspective to never wear anything dark on your head, never wear anything black on your head because black soaks in everything, then this confuses your aura. Everything is pulled in.
Yeah.
And you don't need anything extra when you're just trying to hear this story. So that's just our tradition. But if you are a child of Obatala, you just shouldn't even own anything black to go on your head. You really shouldn't own anything black, period. But definitely not headgear. So that is Ogbe. What was the EBN? OD? Osa? Was it OD Osa? Okay. So OD is an Odu that lets us know that we have to. So this is where the EB is coming. This is where the blockage is coming for this year. So this is not a year in which we made all of our sacrifices and we made all of our ebo, and there's no sacrifices that we're going to have to make for this year. This is not that kind of year. This is a year in which we will have some sacrifices and some ebos to make. So OD lets us know that part of what we will need to do for this year is to make sure that we're clinging to the traditions of our ancestors, of which there are thousands. So that doesn't necessarily mean this tradition, but whichever tradition of your ancestors that calls to you. This is what will give you a base. This is what will give you a foundation. Okay. OD is one of the Odu that talks about the importance of knowing the lives of your actual bloodline ancestors. If you know the lives of your ancestors, then you know what you have a proclivity towards. You know what obstacles you're likely to face. You also know what you're probably good at. Okay? Everything happens in lineages. We are our ancestors' return. So because we carry their DNA and that their actual cells live within our bodies, we're very much the same as them, you know? I think I'll come back to that. Osai is an Odu that lets us know that it will be important this year to use our bara properly. Bara is the power of the spoken word. It is also referred to as a fuashe. A fuashe specifically is the power of the spoken word that women are born with. Bara is the power of the spoken word that everyone can attain. So understand that what you say will come to be. So always be very careful and very aware of what you're saying. As a little girl growing up in the backwoods of Tennessee, we were raised with the understanding of Bara. There were certain things you could say, certain things you just did not say. You just did not say. Even when you were arguing with your siblings, even when the argument got to that point where you knew you just had to say the meanest thing possible, you could only go so far. Your mom was gonna come in there and hit everybody in the mouth.
I hate you.
No, you could not say I hate you. You couldn't say you stupid. You couldn't say, you could say all this other stuff. Me and my sibling was real creative with it, boy. Because we did not believe in stopping an argument till somebody was crying. Then you stopped. Okay, you was done once you broke that person down. They were crying. So we worked around it, but you couldn't say that anyone was stupid. You couldn't say that you hated anyone. These types of things were just not allowed. You couldn't call anybody a lie. You couldn't. Some terms you just could not use in the house. Yeah. In the house of a Black Southern woman, that stuff just did not come out of your mouth, unless you were ready to face the dire repercussions of it. So we were raised with an understanding of Bara. And I think that what we thought was happening was that they were saying, well, you can say all that stuff when you get to be grown. But really, most of that stuff we ain't got no business saying it all. So be aware of what you're saying. Draw to you what you want. Our ancestors said the trap that is set by the mouth never fails to catch its victim. Right? Always. But our ancestors also said, may my mouth not make me enemies. Right? Running off at the mouth. My mom used to call it. Sitting somewhere just running off at the mouth. Just roll. Just whatever you think is just coming out. That's always going to get you in trouble. So we have to this year be aware of our Bara. This is how we're going to work around these obstacles and these blockages. Call to you what it is that you want. Create an affirmation for this year for yourself and say that to yourself. You can be saying it in your mind before you wake up in the morning. You can say it in the shower. You can say it while you're driving to work or to school. Create an affirmation and say it. Use your spoken word for exactly what you want. Don't be afraid to ask for exactly what you want. There aren't any limits to cosmic forces. So that means there's nothing too small, but there's also nothing too large. So even when you're in the kitchen and you can't remember that recipe, you can call on the Orisha for that. You can call on your ancestors for that. Grandmama, what was that you used to put in here? Nothing is too small. The Orisha aren't anywhere saying, anybody gonna help you with that? Don't you know I'm an Orisha? That's not how it works.
Oh, I got time to help you get the macaroni and cheese
Right?
right.
That's not how it works. They are really there for every little thing. I pray about parking spaces. And I give thanks when the parking space is there. Woo, thank you, SU. This one is right by the door.
Traffic lights when you run late.
Girl.
I need all green.
Can you just give us some green? Girl, I pray before I go in the store that dress is going to be on sale. Y'all know I got to have this dress. Please let it be on sale. Right? Nothing is too little. But also nothing is too big. You are big enough to fulfill your destiny. Right? You're big enough to fulfill your destiny. So the destiny that you chose is not bigger than you, or else you wouldn't have chose it.
I like this. You are big enough.
You are big enough to fulfill your destiny. The destiny that you chose is not bigger than you. You would not have chosen it. Sir, did you just hear the story about how somebody bit through their tongue doing that on the chair? Stop. You're making me nervous. So nothing is too, yes, please stop. Nothing is too big. This is the year of using your spoken word. Draw to you what you want. Say what it is that you want. Don't say what it is that you don't want. And be aware of it. Be conscious of it. You're doing this all the time. Excuse me, y'all. The Orisha are just asking you to be conscious of it. Can you give me some water, please? Thank you.
See, don't speak what you don't want. That's something that's coming to my mind more so as I'm parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And certain things happening in the home and certain
Mhm.
behaviors that keep repeating
Mm-hmm.
that I don't want, but then you want to reprimand or discipline the behavior, but then it keeps repeating, like, didn't we just talk about this, didn't we just talk about this,
Mhm.
and it's like ugh.
Mhm.
So somebody was telling me, like, just don't acknowledge what they're not doing right.
Right.
And yeah, so that
Yeah. Go on the other side of that. And I think we as mothers, we have to completely flip statements.
right.
Don't do that or you gonna fall. They gonna fall.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want you to do that because it makes me afraid that you may fall. That's a completely different statement.
So then you're owning that.
Yeah. If you keep doing that, you're gonna fall. Then okay, you already know. If you keep doing that, you're gonna grow up and be lazy. Then okay, you've already put that in place. And the only curse, according to our ancestors, that cannot be removed is the one that has been placed on you by your mother. So, as mothers, we have to be very particularly careful. Thank you. Of what we are saying. Ooh, well, everybody wanted some water. Okay. So, make sure that you're saying what you mean and not just necessarily speaking out of your anger. When you're not doing this, it makes me feel like you are lazy and we're not able to get this achieved as a family. Not, whoo, you so lazy. Because then that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to get forever for the rest of that person's life. As many things as I do within a day, there is never a day that I go to sleep without feeling like I have been lazy. Because my mother always said I was lazy. So it doesn't make any difference how much I've done and how many papers I've written, how many books I've sold, how many divinations I've done, how many babies I've taught. It does not make any difference. When I get in the bed, I'm like, man, I'll never do what I'm supposed to be doing.
Mine's feeling that I'm an effective planner. I was always told that I don't plan well.
Mm-hmm. And you one of the best planners I know. But we can't. You see what I'm saying? You can't. We
never get over that.
Yeah, it is that curse. You can't get over it. It becomes one of the negative voices in your head that you're constantly fighting against. And we know that they meant the best for us and that they were trying to be helpful. And that's the only thing that's helped me overcome it to any degree, is reminding myself constantly she meant that, as positively as she could, but okay, you ain't gonna never not hear that, So then don't put it in the heads of your children. So that's one of the things we'll be working on for this year is bara and the proper use of bara. And I'm just gonna check and see with coming NEB if there's any sort of EBO that we need to do collectively. Okay, there isn't. So we just working through it all, you guys. Everything doesn't have an EBO. Some stuff has to be gone through. Um, the deities, the Orisha that are ruling this year are Dambala and Oya. Dambala is not an Orisha. Dambala is a Vodun. So Dambala comes out of the tradition of the Ewe Fon people. And this is the people of Dahomey, currently known as Benin. Dambala is the collective force of all of the ancestors who have been forgotten. And this force all together creates this Orisha, this cosmic being, this Vodun. Okay? This is a masculine energy. When it is depicted as a snake. usually one of those giant snakes. Hold it away from me. A boa constrictor, python, something of that nature. Dambala is a white snake that encircles one side of the universe. His wife, Aida Wedo, encircles the other side. And she is a rainbow, the rainbow that we see, the rainbow circle. So when you see that rainbow across the sky, that's the body of Aida Wedo that you're looking at. Encircling that one side. Dambala is on the other side. Okay. So Dambala is the ruling deity for this year. So we will have to pay close attention to, be in touch with, be thinking about, be researching, and be honoring our ancestors in every way possible this year. And allowing that to be what uplifts us, what guides us, and what keeps us grounded. The knowledge of exactly who we are from an ancestral perspective. But that's ancestral energy way, way back. That's completely and totally ancient, primal, first energy. So reaching all the way back to that and allowing that to guide you. Now, the beautiful thing about it is that the feminine ruling Orisha is Oya. So that's beautiful because of Oya is, of course, the mother of the ancestors. Oya is the guardian of the cemetery. She is the Orisha that guides you out of the womb of your mother, but she also guides you back to the womb of Earth Mother Onile when you become an ancestor. Now, Oya is an Orisha, so this is a Yoruba deity. So this year will be completely and totally full of ancestral energy. And that will be a big part of the energy that we'll be working with and utilizing, which isn't, that's not surprising considering all of the influential figures that have gone into the ancestral realm in the past year. So it's the energy you'll be calling on, it's the energy you'll be guided by, the energy you'll be utilizing. Okay. Oya is also the energy of that female warrior, that ferocity of women. That's the energy of Oya. She is the woman who brought the tradition of wearing pants to the Yoruba people because she couldn't ride her horse into battle with her lapa. So her husband is Shango Kabiesi, and he wore the shokoto. And Shango has to wear the shokoto pants. Shokoto pants are small right here and they're big right here. He has to wear those because he has 10,000 testicles. So she took the shokoto pants from Shango, and she began to wear them herself so that they could both go into battle together. So a Ya has a tradition. Yeah. I will talk about it later. You know what it is. You just not. You may not. Mhm. We'll talk about it later. So, Oya brings that kind of warrior woman energy. That energy of whatever it takes to get it done is what I'm going to do. Which is beautiful. I think that were raised with that. That's to me, that's when I think about that, I think about my mom. You know, whatever it takes to get it done, that's what she's gonna do. You know. I'm gonna go back to it, but then okay, maybe I'll put it on vibrate. I think that's better. All right. Okay. That is it. As far as what Oshun is saying, did anybody have questions or anything that they wanted clarity on?
Yes, last question.
Oh, okay. Yes, we will get back to the question.
So I'm wondering, um, with Damballa not being an Orisha, but being a Loa of the tradition, when how does that present itself in the readings, coming from, with the 16 counties and that being the Yoruba tradition? How's that, like, how does that come up?
Well, what we were taught to do, because I was trained in New African Vodou, so Metahochi taught us to do is you ask all of the Orisha first, and if you keep getting a no, then you go and you ask, is it a Vodou, is it a Loa? Then you have to ask if it is something else, because we all carry all of those 16 great West African lines. So a lot of times when we're doing divination, that is one of our downfalls. We're just expecting everything to come from this one system. You keep hitting your head against the wall. And he's like, it's because sometimes it's coming from another system. So that's what I did. I was like, okay. Yeah. I was like, okay. Well, it's got to be somebody.
Right.
It can't just be nobody. So
Right.
yeah, ask on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
Did you have a question? Did you, Mom?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I just figured it. How can you tell when you use those shells? How can you tell the
Well, a certain number of shells will be turned up like this. And a certain number will be turned down, right? So I look at the ones that are turned up, and the number lets me know which scripture, which group of stories to share with you. And then for the four ones, there's certain things that mean yes and certain things that mean no. But this one means yes, this one means no. This one means all good. This one means we got some work to do. Okay? So it's almost like the code that your computer uses. Really, in your computer, there's just two things that it can do. Okay? It can be doing this over here, it can be doing this. That's all a computer can do. So it's called a binary code. So this is one of the first binary codes created by our ancestors over 10,000 years ago. It is a computer that allows us to talk to our ancestors from 10,000 years ago.
So, oh man.
Mm-hmm.
But do you use the brown one?
This one?
Yeah.
This is the one that let us know that this year we were going to have to work through some obstacles. And he's actually black. But
Oh,
after we had
he's
the
brown.
fire, he turned brown. And then
So
I
you
just
put
kept
him
him.
in the fire?
He put himself in the fire. And then I asked Oshun if I should get a different one. She said no. So I kept him even though he's supposed to be black. But yeah.
Well, black and brown are the same thing, but
No, not really.
later. But
Yeah.
they just but in black they put like a darker color.
A little bit more pigmentation. Is that it?
He wants to get her question.
We can talk. Everybody will do their hands like this.
Looks like an X.
It does. I said talk.
So, yeah,
It is enough. It is finished.
Thanks, Ia.
Yes, you're welcome. There is, excuse me. Okay, peace, y'all, online people. There is